So I love my dad. My dad is an awesome person, but at the same time, he's gotten me into trouble a few times. This one time, we were moving from Texas to Oregon, and we were moving in a really small town in Oregon, like a town of 3,000 people, and we were about half an hour away from my grandpa. And so when we got up there, and we had the U-Haul, the only place to really give it the U-Haul back was 4 hours away. That's how small this little town was. The nearest U-Haul place was 4 hours away. So my dad asked my grandpa to go with us to drop off the U-Haul, and that way we had a ride back. And so me and my brother both went to keep my dad and my grandpa company respectively, and we go up there. And we're on our way up, and my dad, he's telling me this story about the weirdest name that he's ever seen. And that was when he was working in Florida. And he went to a Target on a lunch break one time, and the girl at the cashier, her name was Jeffrika. Like, Jeff Freaka. It was, I don't know what was going through the parents' mind. He was like, well, that's a pretty cool name. And she's like, thank you. Parents named me after my grandfather. That's kind of weird, naming a daughter after a grandfather. But he pulls in this story, and he's like, wouldn't it be funny? Because your grandpa's name is Jeff. Wouldn't it be funny if you told him that you were going to name your first child Jeff after him? And he's like, yeah, even if it's a girl, you're gonna name her Jeff, but you name it Jeffrika, because that's the name. I don't know about that, Dad. But that's really funny. I thought it was just gonna end there, but no, that's not what happened. So we go, and we get to the town where the U-Haul place is, and we drop off the U-Haul, and we all get my grandpa's car, and we're just heading back on that 4-hour drive. And about halfway into that 4-hour drive, my dad looks over to my grandpa, and he's like, you know, Jeff, Josh really respects you. You're one of the best role models in his life. And my grandpa's like, thank you. He loves you so much that he wants to name his firstborn child after you. And my grandpa, he gets really, really quiet. And he starts crying. Just tears streaming down his face. And he's like, that would mean so much to me, Josh. Yeah, Grandpa. Then my dad looks at him and he says, Jeff, even if his firstborn child is a daughter, he's gonna name him after you. And then my grandpa looks a little confused. And my dad looks at me and he's like, Josh, tell him what name you thought of to name your daughter. Shafrika. And my grandpa, first thing that comes out of his mouth, well, let's hope it's a boy then. And that was the middle of the car ride. And so that whole entire rest of the car ride back home, it was really awkward. We just sat there in kind of like silence, and not even the radio was on. Now, I am obligated to name my firstborn child Jeffrey, or if it's a girl, Jeffrika, which I really don't want. So I can just imagine my future wife, we're in the hospital together, and we're doing her first ultrasound where we get to find out what the baby is. Is it a boy or is it a girl? And the doctor will come back with the news and congratulations, it's a boy. And I'll be relieved. But if it's a girl, if he comes back and says, congratulations, it's a girl, I'll just be like, oh boy. And then my wife will just be thinking of names, and she'll maybe say something like Clarice, or Jessica, or Brittany, or some really cool name. And I'll just come to the table and be like, so, how about Jafrika? And she'll look at me and like, what did you say? And I'd say, we can name her Jafrika. And then she'll be like, what? No, we're not naming her Jeffrika. And then I'm gonna have to tell her this story. And then it's just gonna have to happen. So, the moral of the story is, I really don't know what the moral of the story is. Just, be careful what your dad says.